Motorhead Garage, the program that each week introduces you to and shows you how to install the latest and exciting and innovative products for your vehicle. Now here's your host, Dave Dobson.
If you've tuned into Motorhead Garage before, you've probably seen the clamp tight tool. And it's an amazing tool that has all kinds of applications. Sonora, your father invented the clamp tight tool, and you've perfected it and brought it along here. What can the clamp tight tool do? Why does somebody need one for folks that haven't seen it before?
This is an amazing little tool, and what you can do is you can use it as a reducer. This is a big pin to a 1/2-inch hose. You can use it as a banding tool. So if you need to band things together, those ratchet type banders, so you can use the clamp tight that way. But you can make the best hose clamp. It's the right size, the right shape clamp.
So how do I use the clamp tight tool?
Well, let's start out. We're gonna measure our wire and see how much wire we need to use. So the easiest way to do it, you can wrap the wire around the project like this and give yourself about 6 inches on one end and then go around 4 times. And then we're gonna cut here. That assures us, even if you have a more rigid wire, then it's gonna work. So go to the middle and then straighten them out.
And that'll find your center point and you'll know where to start.
Exactly.
It's gonna be the same no matter what kind of wire you're using?
You can use almost any kind of wire with this tool, and that's one of the things that's so impressive. You can use it with a coat hanger, a tie wire, electric fence wire. Be careful with copper because it's so soft. It'll stretch and then pull loose. The stainless steel is our favorite, and we do sell stainless steel on our website. It's more corrosive resistant, and we have it in like a 304, a 316 stainless, even a 400 for marine application.
So engineers out there are going to know exactly what they need. For sure.
Absolutely. As you have the tool and you have the wire, you're the engineer. So we fold the wire in half, go through there twice. Now we're going to separate these, make sure they're straight, and then this is where we're going to connect the tool.
Okay.
And I'm going to turn it this way. Bring the wire over the pins on each side. That's where the pressure is, and it needs to be nice and snug. Now check it out. This is why the tool works so well. We folded the wire in half and we have that loop, right? So we're going to put that loop in that notch on the nose. Actually, you're pushing against the outside part of the wires. The insides of the wires,
because you're wrapped around there, is also pulling.
Exactly. That's why the tool works so well. It actually pushes and pulls and evenly distributes the pressure. How many times have you taken a pair of pliers and a piece of wire and you twist it to get it tight? Fine line between tight and broke. So what this does is it reduces the friction that's delivered to that wire.
And with a regular hose clamp also, you're getting all the pressure in one spot, and it can kind of make a flat spot there, but this is going all the way around.
Exactly. You know, they have tested hose clamps and there's nothing consistent about the pressure that it holds.
Really?
And a regular hose clamp, it's difficult to actually inspect it for failure because underneath a regular hose clamp, a lot of times there's corrosion there and it'll break. That's where it'll pull loose. With a clamp tight, you can see how nice of a clamp that makes.
Yeah. And for folks that maybe they're doing a hot rod or something like that and they want the original look of these top post clamp like this or a regular hose clamp, you can put the hose clamp on around the clamp tight clamp. There you get the great seal and the aesthetics you want from the tower clamp there. But let's finish this one off and see how you complete the clamp tight clamp itself there.
Okay, so if you have the room, you're going to pivot the tool all the way. That locks it. Let's say you have limited space. You're going to keep the tool straight up and down. You're going to tighten it in this position. All you need is a 30-degree angle off center.
Just to get it up over the hump.
Just go over the hump. And now you're going to cut these and then bring them down one by one, because a lot of our customers are asked this very same thing. I love the tool, but I can't use it in tight spaces, but this way you can.
And you have different size tools to accommodate smaller spaces too.
We do, actually. Yeah, we have our mini. It's about half the size of the other one, and a lot of the builders love that. So we're going to push your ends toward the middle, lock them in place. There you have it.
Excellent. Well, there's a billion different applications for clamp tights, clamps here. You can find all the different sizes and you can find lots of different applications at clamptighttools.com. We'll be right back with more Motorhead Garage, so do not move.
Motorhead Garage, presented by Dragonfire Tools, is brought to you by RockAuto.com. All the parts your car will ever need. And by AG Products, superior detailing supplies.
Welcome back to Motorhead Garage, presented by dragonfiretools.com. You know, we've been in this studio for about a year, and during that time, we've wheeled a compressor from station to station every time we've needed air. Well, that gets old awfully quickly, so we decided we needed a system for the entire garage. Folks told us that Prevost was the best in the business, so we called them, and they sent National Sales Manager Adam Schmitz to show us why Prevost is the best out there.
So, starting with our piping system, it's aluminum pipe and aluminum fittings, so it gives you a lot more advantages of leak-free performance, which is especially critical because it's going to save on energy cost, it's going to save on compressor usage, and allow all the equipment to last much longer for the lifetime.
So airflow is important to the equipment. That's something I didn't know about.
Airflow is extremely important. You typically want to size the compressor based off of the airflow that's required for your shop. How you do that is through the size of the tools, what tools you'll be using, the equipment that'll be used that requires air usage. You add all of that up together for the total amount of airflow, and then we typically design it for worst case, which is the maximum amount of flow that could be required all at one time, and then we'll size the pipe to that airflow. So you don't want to get it too big. Then there's a lot of extra energy that's wasted in the system. You want it sized efficiently for the system, so that way airflow is smooth, less moisture content, because you want clean, dry air going to the lifts, the tools.
Moisture, how does Prevost equipment prevent that?
When a compressor pulls in ambient air, it's pulling in contaminants in the air, so that's humidity. And then the compressor also has lubricated oil that it'll put into the compressed air. You want to get all of that moisture, all of that oil out of the air before it gets out into the system. So we have particulate filtration systems. We have a water oil separator coming off of the compressor as well. And all of that will help to ensure to take all of the contaminants out of the system, so you have clean, dry air getting to everything downstream.
What kind of maintenance do I need to do on a Prevost system once it is installed?
Once you have it installed, the pipe and fittings really don't require any maintenance after that. The filtration units, you'll want to make sure you maintain the cartridges every 6 months, depending on the usage.
Once Prevost has designed a system for me, can I install it myself?
That's a huge advantage of our system. There's limited tools that are required to install it, and there's limited expertise. The only real special tool that's actually required is our tightening wrench, and that comes with a lot of different features with it. It's designed for 5 points of contact with our fittings. It's got a connection for the torque wrench. We also have a shoulder built into the tool, and then an arrow to help identify on the pipe to make sure you're inserted all the way into the fitting. And then there's also a drill bit that we provide, and the drill bit is designed for ease of use when installing a tapping flange or drop connections through the system.
Once you got started here, you showed one of our crew guys, Scott, how to do it, and he picked it right up.
That's actually a really good example of somebody who didn't know coming into it how to put our system together. 5 minutes of training, Scott has it. He knows how to put it together. He knows the tools and the process. It's very simple, and you can pick it up very quickly.
For those at home that don't have air tools and may not use them very much, what are some of the advantages of using an air tool over a plug-in electric or maybe a battery-powered tool?
Compressed air still remains the lowest cost of any fluid power. It's still widely used anywhere there's a compressor. Typically, you'll want to use the pipe and fittings with it. But overall, the quality of the air tools, the longevity, the advantages are basically you've got a lot more wide range of usage of tools with compressed air over electricity as well.
Let's talk about the system you installed here at Motorhead Garage.
It was really just a matter of laying out the pipe and fittings to work around obstacles that you may need to mount it. We have several different options to mount the pipe, but you just want to try to optimize the system, laying out the pipe and fittings where you need the usage. And we try to form a loop wherever possible. A loop will help ensure that you've got pressure and flow coming from both sides. That'll help ensure that your tools farthest away from the compressor don't get starved of air.
If I'm choosing a system, an air system for my shop or my home, why should I choose Prevost?
We do everything from the compressor connection all the way to the work tool. There's very few other manufacturers out there that have the line of products that we offer, but we also have a very high quality product. You take that in combination of affordable price, amount of products that we have to offer, and the quality of the system, all adds up to better efficiency for the end user and better performance.
Thanks to Adam and Prevost for making our lives a whole lot easier here in the studio. You can find those folks at PrevostUSA.com. And you can find more Motorhead Garage presented by DragonFireTools.com when we come back. A special thanks to the folks at Dragonfire Tools for stepping it up. We are now Motorhead Garage presented by DragonFireTools.com. Here at Motorhead Garage, we love our trucks, and we bet you do too. But we bet you haven't thought much about the lowly mud flap. Now, Trevor, there are a lot of problems that can come up when installing something as simple as a mud flap. What can you run into?
Well, when you have the standard mud flap, it fits one way. It doesn't allow for much adjustability. Now with trucks, we know we like to customize them and do all kinds of different setups with our wheel and tires. So what we came up with was a way to make that adjustable and line up exactly the way you want to, in a way that doesn't require completely fabricating or drilling into a stainless steel bracket in your vehicle.
Which is a huge deal. So now RecGen, first of all, they have the offset, which accommodates big tires. How else are they adjustable?
So the grid pattern we have on the bracket allows to line up with any of the factory screws that are already there. That makes it very customizable for whatever. It's a universal set. We also have some brackets that we have included in the kit that clamp on when there's no screws there. It's a pretty simple, straightforward install and not much drilling.
Ease of install is a huge thing, but durability is another one. How durable are the RecGen mud flaps?
They're very durable. They're a rubber additive inside of a polyethylene, the mud flap material itself. It allows for some flex, but still keeps that flat look. You want it to look all uniform. And we have a 14 gauge stainless steel bracket that's powder coated. It's gotta be really strong for that application.
And even on the backside, you sort of thought of some details there.
Yeah, just simple geometry and the way water works. When water hits a flat surface, it goes every direction. So these grooves that are on the back of the mud flaps take the water, force it straight down, and reduce some splashing.
Up top, you have the bracket. It protects from rocks, but you've solved another problem with that as well.
Yeah, so we have our new RecGen backing for mesh brackets. It has the same look to it. We added black and a little pop of red on there. That's also changeable. It uses the same grid pattern, so it's very simple. You line up with whatever cell you used, you drill it into the plastic, and it backs that with that mesh showing through with kind of a cool gloss black, matte black texture. Keeps that whole aggressive look. We like how it came out.
How do folks know this is going to fit their vehicle?
This is a universal set, so the key with that is, with that grid, it fits everything. The only thing that you're going to run into is if you have a small car or a small SUV where you don't need something this big or this crazy. It's 12 inches wide. We have some different options, 11-inch wide, 12-inch wide, some different lengths if you have different lifts.
You brought 3 different colors with you. How many colors does RecGen make?
We have 5 different colors.
Excellent. So they're going to match your truck. They're going to go on easily because these are all the tools you need, and they're going to last a long, long time. Super durable, made in the USA. You can find these mud flaps at RecGen.com. One of the things I really love about AG products is the waterless wash. Dave, I can use this if I'm just touching up something, if I'm between washes and have a little spot I need to get rid of. But what if I want to go deeper? What if I want a more comprehensive wash? What are the steps?
Yeah, so you're always going to start out with that unicorn foam soap. Those little stubborn bugs, we have a great bug remover for that. And those 2 products right there will get you through that nice deep clean. Now, the in-betweeners, the maintainers, that's going to be our waterless wash that you just spoke of, and that great smelling strawberry lemonade spray and wax. That'll get you in between those washes and keeping that car nice and clean on the outside.
The unicorn foam, of course, is the go-to on the outside. On the inside, then, what is your go-to there?
That's going to be the Twisted Apple all-purpose cleaner. It'll get you everything you need to get that grime off the inside, get that nice start of that interior detail. And then again, our maintainers and our other supplements that add to it would be the leather conditioner, the glass cleaner, and the finish line with that diamond glance.
How often do I need to wash my car?
To keep the value of your car, to keep it clean, every 6 months.
Great. And I know you've formulated this so folks at home can use AG products, but professionals are also using it. I know a great use for this stuff is if you're selling a vehicle. You can use AG products to make it look great, but what about a car dealership? Maybe you're flipping a car, maybe the pros are doing that.
If you're in the dealership world or if you're just flipping cars every now and then, you can order in bulk from us. You can go 55-gallon drums all the way down to a 1-gallon jug.
No matter what level you're diving into detailing, you can find what you need at AG Products. ShopAGProducts.com is your interweb destination. We'll be right back with more Motorhead Garage, so keep it right here.
Motorhead Garage, presented by Dragonfire Tools, is brought to you by NextGen, the most powerful detailing products ever made. And by Dragonfire Tools, industrial workbenches with integrated tool storage.
I cannot let a dad joke go by without being unsaid. We are having a blast here at Motorhead Garage. Giles from ColdJet is showing us how to do this stuff, and it couldn't be simpler. Now, folks may not have heard of dry ice blasting. How is it different from other media blasting we've seen out there?
There's two main benefits to it. Number one is it's not abrasive. It's a very soft material. So as you blast on all sorts of different surfaces, metal, plastics, rubber, it's not going to damage them. And the second part is there's no secondary waste. So that dry ice impacts the surface, it sublimates from a solid state to a gas state and leaves no residue left behind.
Who's using dry ice blasting?
Well, we supply a number of automotive suppliers. So everyone from plastics, composites, rubber, tires, foundries, textiles, and even those industries not associated with the automotive industry, like food processing, life sciences, aerospace, kind of spread about a mile wide and an inch deep in all sorts of different industries and applications.
How does dry ice blasting actually work?
Dry ice blasting works in three main ways. First of all is the kinetic energy or impact. We're taking, in most cases, rice-sized particles of dry ice. We may break those down into smaller particles depending on the application, but then we're accelerating them at anywhere from 600 to 1,200 feet per second upon impact to that surface. The second part is the thermal shock or the cold. Dry ice is very cold at negative 109 degrees Fahrenheit. So as it impacts that surface, it chills whatever contaminant you have on there and helps to release the bond that it has on that surface. And then lastly is the sublimation part. That dry ice, as it hit and transitions from that solid state to the gas state, it expands to 800 times its size in order to pop off that newly released coating. So to kind of summarize that down a little bit, we use the acronym ICE, I for impact, C for cold, and E for expansion or sublimation.
And with all those things said, how easy is it to use a system like this?
It's relatively easy. You've got your applicator, your nozzle, you hook it up, and there's about 5 major do's or don'ts when using this equipment. You want to be about 2 to 4 inches in most cases. Try to hit things at a 90-degree angle, but essentially it's kind of like a dry pressure washer when it comes to the operation.
What does someone need if they want to start their business with this or add this into their existing business?
Air and then air treatment are the big ones. The two enemies of dry ice are heat and moisture. So you've got to find a way to mitigate those two and then have a sufficient air supply to act as a propellant for that dry ice to impact that surface with the cleaning effect that we're looking for. So we have a support kind of hub, if you will, called ColdJet Connect. And that is a number of different access to data, access to support, service agreements. I can even take my phone, scan the QR code on the side of this machine, and pull up analytics for things like machine utilization, estimates for dry ice consumption as well. So I have the data needed to make the decisions to best support my business going forward. You can reach out to any one of our reps that we have remotely placed all throughout the United States and beyond. Ladies and gentlemen are equipped with vans, trucks, trailers. They're able to come on site, do inspections of your equipment, safety audits, trainings. So we offer a lot of support to our customers.
If you go to coldjet.com, you can learn how the system works and how you can get it yourself. And if you want to find out more about how someone uses this in their business, you can tune in next week for more from ColdJet. Audiophiles, you are going to love this. This is all about sub-box designs, and they make custom housings for your subwoofers in your car. First, let's talk about why you need a custom-made enclosure for your subwoofer. Well, the box that surrounds your speakers is a huge factor when it comes to both loudness and sound quality. A lot of folks make the mistake of just going bigger with the subwoofer when the issue might be with the box that actually encloses the subwoofers. And you go bigger and bigger, and the subwoofers still don't make a difference. That handles the sound part, so let's talk about fit. So many times you see someone with a monster stereo system, but you can tell the speaker boxes are not made to fit their specific vehicle. If you purchase a design from Subbox Designs, you'll get an enclosure that fits your specific car or truck, and it'll also sound great. How does it work? Well, you hop onto subboxdesignsllc.com, and there's a form you can fill out. Just type in the dimensions of the area where you'd want to put your subwoofer enclosure. Let them know what your make and model for the speakers you're using and the make and model of your vehicle. And if you know on which side you want to make your wire connections, let them know that too. And if you're a big-time audiophile, you can also tell Subbox Designs what tuning frequency you prefer, along with the type of music you play most. Once Subbox Designs has your specs, they go to work designing, and the process is way fast. Sometimes you'll even get your designs the same day you order them. They come in the form of 3D drawings, and they'll show you all the necessary specs you need to build the enclosure, along with instructions and tips to get the job done. And depending on your skill level and the complexity of your enclosure, you can build it yourself in just a few hours, or you can take it to a professional woodworker. And even if you go that route, that's way less expensive than having a custom box built and shipped to you. To our friends in Canada and around the world, yes, you can get this in metric or standard measurements, and no matter where you are, you can get a free quote on your enclosure. Get better sound from your speakers in a better looking housing. Head on over to subboxdesignsllc.com and see what Corey and his team can do for you. If you have a product you want to show to the world, drop me a line, dave@motorheadgarage.tv. A special thanks to Dragonfire Tools for jumping on board and sponsoring our series, and a special thanks to you for tuning in. We'll do it again next week. See you then.